All right, my next guest, coming straight out of North Carolina, singer, songwriter, hip hop artist, Lanie is joining me right now. How's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Thank you so much for being on the show. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you so much for having me. Happy holidays to you too as well.
So I did get the emails moments ago. I've already had a chance to play one of those songs through Spotify. Um,
You did?
yeah, I did.
Okay,
So
okay.
I like the record. I also like the album cover. Very, very,
Thank you.
very nice. So we'll get into that in a matter of moments. But first things first, how did you get started into music? How did it start off for you?
I started off as a singer first, and I started off singing at the age of 6. I grew up listening to greats like Whitney Houston. Toni Braxton is my idol. I listened to a lot of Brandy, Monica. Um, yeah, I grew up listening to the greats, and I I was I grew up in choir too as well, like not church choir, but I took choir in school. So, yeah, that's how I got my start.
You very much love the '90s R&B, pretty much. Um,
Yes, yes, a big fan of 90s R&B. Great big fan.
yeah, R&B in the '90s, that was love. That was
Oh yeah, and you can still listen to them
yeah,
and like it never gets old. Their music never gets old. That's
time
what I love about the 90s.
timeless music indeed. Monica, Brandy, Genuine, Tyrese,
Oh yes.
way before the crying stuff, but just 112, Jagged Edge, uh,
Aaliyah.
Aaliyah, rest in
Yes,
peace.
oh yeah.
Those were good times.
Oh yeah.
It feels like R&B has like kind of declined a bit. There are some young artists to keep an eye on. You know, uh, uh,
Yeah.
her. You have Chris Brown. You have all. And speaking of R&B, I'm glad that we get feeling the R&B vibes and everything. There's an individual made headlines for his confidence per se. Um, Mr. Jacquees. He called that man Rich Homie Quan because he was feeling some type of way. He declared himself as the king of R&B of this generation. At least that's what he actually said. He wasn't like, "Oh, I'm the greatest of all time." But what was your reaction when you heard those comments from Jacquees?
I mean, for him, like, it's nice that it's great that he is confident. You know, every artist should have confidence in their craft and everything. But to say that he's the king of R&B for this generation, I would kind of say that's kind of an understatement. Like, what about Chris Brown? Like, Chris Brown has been there far longer than Jacquees. Um,
Right?
there's a lot of, other R&B artists, male R&B artists that came out before Jacquees. So, I mean, it's okay for him to say it. Like, I guess he feels that way personally, but me personally, I would give that title to Chris Brown because he's put a lot more work and he's been there longer. You know what I'm saying? Like, any song that Chris Brown has touched, you can't say that that song hasn't been a hit. Every single song, from features, from mixtapes to, just albums, that man has touched every single one of those songs, and it's been a hit.
I
You
def
know, so um, I mean, it does come off a little bit cocky,
very much.
saying that you're the king of R&B. Um, but I mean, that's his personal opinion. I'm not gonna knock
Yeah.
his opinion. But my personal opinion is it should have went to Chris Brown.
You know, as it pertains to Jacquees, he may have a bright future. And maybe if he continues the level of work that he's been able to do up to this point, then maybe he will
Oh yeah.
be in a conversation. But as of right now, as of this moment, he got ways to go. I mean, Chris Brown.
Oh, ways to go.
There's
Like
Chris
he's only
Brown.
been in the game for like 2 years, 3 years.
Couple of years, yeah.
Like actually signed. Like, you know, I would say that, once he's in the game for like, 10 years and up,
Yeah.
then I'd say that. But you're just starting out,
You're a little baby.
and and you're just finding your, you like, how does he even know he found his like full craft, like his full potential? He doesn't know his full craft yet. Nobody really knows their full craft until like years later because they've had more practice with it. They've had more experience and they know how they want to sound. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like he hasn't even reached his full potential yet to call himself, the king of R&B of this generation.
Very much. There's Chris Brown, there's Neo, there's Miguel,
Oh yeah.
there's John Legend. I think a lot of people in that conversation before I put Jacquees in there. But I guess that's what happens when you work with Birdman. You tend to say some silly things. But we're just gonna leave that alone. I want to talk about your record, Silver Rain. Incredible record. What was it like working on it? What was it like just putting the songs together and everything?
Sovereign, like I wanted this album because this is my debut album. It's my baby. So for me to come out with a debut album, like there was a lot of inspiration behind it. You can find a lot of songs on there, from party songs to, soulful ballads about, heartbreak. It was an amazing experience working on it. Just picking out the beats because, a lot of people that have worked with me notice that I am very picky when it comes to my music. When it comes to selecting beats, I want my hands on like everything. Like as far as, beats getting made for my project, as far as, my songs being mixed down, I want to be there during the whole process. So like, being able to work on this album and work with my producer, Greg, has been an amazing experience. And I thank him like for everything because most people say it's hard to work with me because I am an extreme perfectionist in the studio. I will legit sit there and, re-record a part. If it doesn't sound right, I will re-record that part as many times as I possibly can until it sounds right to me. So I thank him a lot because, like he's the one that founded me. He's the one that gave me the chance and gave me the opportunity to, be a part of Impossible Jump Music Group. So I thank him a lot. Everything that he's done means the world to me. So I can't thank him enough for that. Like as far as the cover of the album, I love the cover of the album. When I was talking to, when I was actually talking to the graphic designer about the album, and I told him, I said, which his name is Dark Room GFX, and you can follow him on Instagram. But when I was talking to him about the cover of the album, I wanted it to reflect me, but I wanted it to be, reflect the title of the album. And since the title of the album is called Sovereign, which is basically royalty. I wanted it to look like a royal cover, you know. And he did his thing on it. You know, all I told him was, hey, I want it to look like I'm royalty, like I'm a queen. I want my fans to look at this album and feel like they're in the presence of royalty. You know what I'm saying? So, um, you know, thank you, Darkroom GFX, for everything, for putting your touch on it, for putting your work into it. Um, a lot of the artists that collabed with me on the album, thank you guys for, you know, putting your work in. From Black Paris, Jinx, um, who now goes by the name Seven, from Tipsy Twist, Classified Tipsy Twist, which he was actually on Catfish a couple years ago. Um, I just thank everybody that's been a part of the album. It really means a lot to me.
It's such a incredible record, and the album cover, it just fits what in the direction that you wanted to go. And I also respect the fact that you're the type of artist that's in the studio making sure the music sounds right. Some people
Thank
will
you.
record songs, maybe 2, 3 takes, and think this is good enough. And then probably a few years from now, they look back and say, maybe I could have done a little bit more. But you make sure like it's done the first go around. And I'm glad that this album turned out the way that it did. So congrats to
Thank you.
you on that. Sovereign is the name of the record from Lanie, available on all digital music platforms. Go check it out, and holler at Darkroom for them graphics effects. That's pretty.
Oh, yeah.
That's a nice touch right there. And before I let you go, why don't you go ahead and promote your social media feeds, and where else can people hear your music?
Okay. Thank you guys so much for listening. You can follow me on all social media platforms at I am the TheLanie. Again, I am the LANIE. Thank you guys so much for listening again. And thank you for having me also.
You have a good night and have a good weekend.
You too.